Hello and welcome to this build video for the ADSR. This is a build video in real time, so you should be able to, if you have some soldering experience, to keep up without pausing the video. If you feel that I'm going too fast, then pause the video. And if you're a real pro, I guess you have to run it in 1.25 speed or something. So the kit I'm going to build is a kit from my store with the two PCBs and one panel, like so, and a kit of components. You also need an Arduino if you buy it from me or source it from anywhere else, and you can also source the components from lots of places. So we're gonna start. What I usually do is I take all the components and I remove all the jacks and the pots and the ICs, because those are usually added in the last thing, and also all the buttons. There should be six buttons, 6 pots, and 4 jacks, I believe. We can also remove the LEDs because they are also need to be added quite late in the build. Right, so if we begin, I usually like to begin with the IC holders because they're low profile, and for them to be flush, you usually need to add them before all the other components, which makes it more difficult to add them. So I usually add them like so. Take another PCB or the front panel to turn it around so I can see it from this side. And then we wait for the iron to heat up. We're gonna start soldering. And I usually add one in each corner for it to stay put. And when soldering, make sure that you get a tip. If this is the leg of the component and you have the circuit like this, so you want the curve. Let's draw the curve. You want the curve of the solder to be like that, going inwards, and not like this, like a ball. If it's like that, it's usually because there's not enough heat when you heat it up, and it could be that you get a cold solder when it looks like that. And I'm using quite a wide flat tip that is a good way of getting in and touching both the pad and the leg at the same time. I need to turn on my fan as well. There, that's the, so yeah, actually let's add the IC holders to this side as well. I should note, or should point out that on the silk screen there is a notch on one side, and on the IC holder there is also a notch on one side. That notch should then match up with the notch on the silk screen. That in turn makes it easy when you get to the components to match these up. They either have, let's find a few here. So this one, the LM358, also has a notch up there, and this one has a dot instead, and that's the dot is the first leg up there to the left, so that should go like that. And also when the notch is there, the first top leg on the left is pin number 1. So it's just a way of keeping track, making sure that you always place the components in the right direction. So this down here is with the notch facing upwards, and this one, U5 MCP 6002, is facing downwards. So now we take the panel, we turn it around. There we go. So those is the 4 components we need a flat surface for right now, at least. So let's bring this one out. Oops, sorry about that. Let's bring this one out, because this one makes adding resistors much easier. So we have a bunch of resistors, and we just dive right in. We can take these. We have these, the 3.9K. Those are up here. Those are for the PWM part of the circuit, the dual PWM. So this is for the high bytes. The high value bytes, I should say. And then we can, since we took those, can take the other part of that, the low byte, and that is the 1M, so 1 mega ohm resistors. We should have 2 of those as well. And one goes in between the two 3.9K, and one is down here. There we go. Then we have a bunch of 270 ohm resistors. That is for the LEDs, the green parts of the LED. So one there. One there. And it could be, yeah, one is hiding up there. So I'm gonna do like so. And we have all of them in place. Let's start there and add these. Still need to add the fan. We have a bunch of 1K resistors, so let's add a few of those. The ones we see on this board at least. R14 up there. R13. And then we go down here, R44, 41, then we have 27 over here, and R5. There is a lot of 1K resistors here. R30 over here. R29. R6. And a few more. 1, 2, 3. 3 more. R42. 39. And 33. There are a few over here as well that I can't reach right now, so I'm going to leave them for now. It's my choice. You may of course do as you like. There we go. So then we have a couple of 2K resistors. Let's take care of those. And that's for the, so on the silk screen it says 2K equals 3x, and that means that if you put a 2K resistor here, you will get 3 times amplification on the output in tenuverters, and that's so we get up to around 8 volts on the output. So this can be tweaked if you do wish to do that, if you want higher or lower maximum values on the output. But I found 8 volts is quite normal and quite it's the normal value. So the backside looks like this. I'm just going to sit and cut these off camera because it's not that interesting to watch, I guess, and also much easier for me to do off camera over the trash bin, so I don't make a mess in here. I make a mess anyway, I hear. They fly away from me. Right. So let's add the ones out on the edge. Can do this. So there's another 2 1K resistors there. And on the other side, we have the a few 10K resistors for the buttons. So do that. And I have 4 10K resistors on this board. And then I see a 1K resistor trying to hide there. And that's the end of resistors. So now there is a bunch of 100 nanofarad capacitors that we need to add and they look like this, it should say 104. Quite ineligible on the ICs. These are actually quite big, so you can actually see on these that it does say 104. Some of the smaller ones are hopeless to see what it says. To put this in place, you see when I turn this upside down they fall out, so you just bend the legs a bit. I forgot that one. And by bending the legs they stay in place. So we can solder them from the bottom because their legs is not shown from the top. Resistors is much easier to solder from the top. That way you don't need to bend the legs and do all that stuff. So I'm gonna cut the legs off again. Off camera. And there was one more 100 nanofarad up there. What do we have left? We have LEDs, LEDs, LEDs. We have 200 nanofarad more. I'm telling you, it's so many 100 nanofarads in this build. And there is one more. That should be it. The rest is LEDs and these pin headers. So let's put that to the side for now and let's continue with this board. There is a few components here as well. All right, I forgot the back side of this one as well, but we do that after we're finished with all of this. So I go back to 1K resistors. We have a few left. We have here in the middle, we can start with R46 and then R45. R17 down here. And R16. Then we have two over here, R15 and R10. So we need to put it out on the edge like so. We do have some 10K resistors left, so we continue with the 10K. R21 here. R23 right there. One there. It's R24 and R22. R22 is there. And R24 right there. Right, and then we have a lot of 100K. So let's take all these. And we just find all the 100K. Sorry, I got all introvert on you there and was quiet. So we're here, R50, 100K. There's not that much to say. We just have to find all the 100K. Over here we have BTNR, and that's also for the buttons. They're a bit strangely marked, but they are also 100K. And now I can't see anymore. I still have two 100K left. Could be on the backside. I'm going to solder all these in place because we have a lot not soldered in place right now. We don't want them to escape. So I'm soon done here. my solder really jumps a lot, or a lot of those things that really burn you. I'm getting quite used to it because I don't scream each time it happens now. Let's see. Yeah, so there's one button on the, or one resistor on the back side as well. It's a good way of, if there's no space up here, you just set it across some other component on the back. Do wonder where the other 100K should be. Oh well. So, cutting some legs. So let's add the last 100K on the back. There. Just gonna let it stand, something like so. Soldering and doing a video of soldering is really difficult. If I haven't said that before. But I have said that before. I say that every video, because every video I'm like, God, this is complicated. So 100K resistor left. I don't know why. Let's leave it for now. It might reveal itself. We have left two 4.7 nanofarad capacitors, and we have that there. Here they're blue in my kit, and they should say 472. And then we have the two N3904. They look like this. Because the holes are a bit more wide apart on the silk screen, so I usually spread the legs a bit and then push them back so they're more wide than the holes are, because then it won't fall out as easily. We press it in, and then again we can bend the legs a bit for it to stay in place. Do the same down here. Make sure that they are less than, that they stick up less than 1 centimeter, because they need to be less than the height of these. So if we put this here, just check, you can see that it's around 2 millimeters below this edge of the jack, so that's fine. While we're at it, let's add the 4.7 nanofarad capacitors, like so. And again, we need to pull the legs apart a bit, and now we can solder this again. always need to wait for my iron to heat up. This is my new iron after I broke my TS101 because explicitly every page on the internet said, do not try to open it, you will break it. And I thought, nah, I'm not gonna break it. And I opened it and I broke it. So it still works, but the screen, it doesn't work anymore. So now I'm trying the Pinesil, or pencil, the pencil Pinesil. There, so it's a pine cone meeting a pencil. It's quite good. It is, I'd say it's not as good as the TS101 from my point of view, but it is also half the price of the TS101. And it uses the same tips. I like that because then I didn't need to buy all new tips for this one. I could just use the ones from the TS101. And if I ever want to have another TS101, I can just keep the tips. Those things are nice, I think. Right, we have... What do we have? We have a few more components on the back side of this one. That's a good way to start with the... So we remove this one again without burning ourselves. So I want to add the headers for the Arduino and the power header, because these are the same height, so it's good to put them on. It's not good to put them on at the same time, because the Arduino, we need to actually have the Arduino in place for it to be a good fit. If we do that, and we see now it's nice and straight, and we hold it with one finger and we just add one pin on that side and one pin on that side, and just to make sure it still looks okay. And now we can add it together. Don't try to take away the Arduino now when you just have a few pins connected. You will totally break the female header. It does not like when just a few pins are connected. So that's, and now when all the pins are stuck, we can remove that one. And now we can add this one, because this is a good support for this one. So on the silk screen we see the PSU P1. There is a small extra square on it, and that is this indentation in here. So we line those up, so let's say the hole faces the Arduino holder. So now we can place it like this and it stays quite upright. We can add this one. Right, and a few more components here. I could have added those first. We have the 1N5817. They go in between here. And if you look, this screen is quite full over here, but you see the small squares of the 1N5817. You see on one side there is 2 extra lines, or 1 extra line, so there is a small extra area, and that reflects the little silvery line here. So if we add that line or that area towards that area, looking like this, they should, the silver part of the diode should all point that way. So like so. The other one, that went in much easier. And because I made it difficult for myself by not adding them before the headers, I need to pull a bit here. There we go. And this will then be easier from this side because the other side is full of headers. And these can be a bit tricky to heat up because their legs are quite hefty, and they can also be connected to the copper infill of the PCB. And then we can all discuss this. I have a ferrite bead to separate digital ground and analog ground, and there is much controversy about this. It doesn't hurt. Ferrite beads isn't very expensive, so I just add it there. If you're not a believer in ferrite beads and don't have one and don't want this, just add one of the legs of preferably the 1N5817 because they were big and chunky, so you get a good adhesion between the two grounds. But I choose this. If it helps, it helps. If it doesn't, it doesn't matter. But I think it might remove some of the digital noise, maybe. Right, so now I want to add these two boards together, and I usually take the topmost board and add the female headers to that, so I'm going to do that. We have 4 headers, 2 4-pin headers, and 2 10-bit headers, pin headers, something like that. And then we need to break off these. If you have a bit of a nail, you can just count up to 4, press your nail in there and hold tight, and you should be able to break it off as easy as that. If you don't have good nails or don't want to do that, you can just use pliers as well. So let's just take one here. You can just do that as well. So another difficult thing to show on camera is how to line these up, because showing it on camera makes it way more difficult to actually line them up. And beginning to make sure that we are in the right orientation, this is wrong. You can only have it in one orientation, and this is correct. So starting on one side, I actually think I made it. It is in place, and we press, make sure, no, there, it fell out there. There we go. And it is a bit wobbly, so what we try, because this side with these headers, this one is still quite straight, so we try to put it as straight as we can and make sure that it is staying straight and not trying to push this too hard. We try to solder this in place. A firm finger holding it down might be quite nice. So we have one pin on each, just to make sure it doesn't fall off. Just making sure they line up somewhat properly. And then I guess we just solder it in place. went a little bit too fast there. Make sure that if you go fast, that you don't get any bridges in the soldering. It's an easy way to get errors. Right. No, not right. We need two more components. We need the electrolytic capacitors. So they are, if you look at the silk screen, there is one area that is a bit whiter, and the opposite side of that is a plus sign. So the long leg is the plus, and then small leg is minus towards the white side, which is also the white side of the capacitor, as you can see. So white to white, like so, and white to white, like so. And there we have them. These are good to put in last because these two makes it wobbly, so all the other maneuvers we did before would not be as smooth if we had these in from the start. Completely lethal. So now we can start adding these components that should go on the front panel. And so the LEDs should be on the back of these transparent pots. And that's why we need to put the pots in first, because they need to be there, otherwise we might not get the pots in place because the LED will be too high up in the hole in the middle. And since we are doing these, we might as well do the jacks as well. So we add the jacks, and the jacks, they share the ground port, so you need to add two ground LEDs into the same hole down here as well, like so. It's also good to have these because that means they keep this at a good distance. This should also then, I like to add one of these at least, because when you hold this in your hand you feel it is a bit wobbly, and it's good to try to keep it straight by having one of these connected. Let's see. So I'm going to start by soldering that one in place that is actually holding it in the correct place. make sure it is straight. All the pots, there is a small metal case around it. They should all stick out of the hole, which they do. You can see them. That means they are a good fit. Right. I forgot to I forgot to solder that one in place. Good thing that I didn't solder any of the pins in place, otherwise I would have broken this one. These things also makes the most weird of errors. You think you have something and then you don't understand why it doesn't work. So let's fix this. Right. We need to take that off. Anyway, so they should all be in place now. Now, the red green LEDs with 3 legs, let's take them out. For the colors to be correct, you need to, there are 3 legs. One is short, one is in the middle, and or middle length, and the middle pin is the longest. You need to put the leg with the longest leg on the side needs to be in the square hole. So that would be if you have the PCB like this, the leg on the left needs to be the longest one of the edge pins. The longest pin of them all should be in the middle. So like that. That means you have, there is a small, if you look at the LED itself on the plastic cap, there's a small cutoff of the ring around it. That small cutoff should be in towards the rest of the PCB. So it should not be in the square hole. If you put it the other way around, red will be green and green will be red. And you can fix that in the code, but you will also need then to replace all the 270 ohm resistors with 1K and those corresponding 1K resistors. You need to then put the 270K in. So long leg towards, in this case, towards the edge. Long leg in the square hole. There. on the one colored LED, there you have the same indentation in the plastic shell, and that should go towards the edge that has a small, that is a bit more square. So again, towards the right. And the red should be down there, and the green should be up here. That's also the cutoff on the PCB, or on the cap, and the cutoff there. Then we put the other PCB on, like so, and then we let the LEDs fall into place and make sure that they fall into the holes on the other PCB. And when they are there, we can put it down quite straight on the potentiometers, and we solder them in place. While you solder, make sure that it doesn't jump out of the hole. That could, of course, happen. And cut the legs. So, and then we have the buttons. So we add the buttons. And there's only one way you can put them in without too much trouble. They won't fit like so. They need to fit like so. You shouldn't have to bend the legs anything at all. You should just be able to just pick them up and put them in. And then we put this back on to make sure that the buttons line up as they should. If you have something to push them with, it's good. There we go. That's the wrong one. This one. And make sure they all work. Now we need to take this off again. A bit more careful now, because now we have the LEDs. So now we can see the LEDs standing nicely there. And try to be as careful as possible doing this, because we don't want the buttons to fall out mid soldering. Which they shouldn't under normal circumstances, but one never knows. I think that's it. There. What do we have here? We have two holes here. That looks like there is a resistor missing there. And what resistor could that be? Could it be this 100k resistor that I didn't find before? There, it's hiding right there. I do not know why I did not see that. It was just where all the other ones were. So strange. And that also means that all components are accounted for. Great. That one looks a bit weird. Right. So now, before we put this together, we need to add all the ICs. I have this little tool that I seem to have misplaced right now to straighten the legs. Nope, I don't have that today. Need to do that a bit carefully. So this is a MCP 6002, and that should be this one. So it says you should be able to read through the whole, or if you memorized it from before. And again, there you have the indentation in the IC, the indentation of the IC holder, and if you look also the indentation on the silk screen. All these three should line up, and you should be able to press that in. There's a LM358. That should be over here. We can turn off the fan now as well. Nice and quiet. LM358 is over here, and we look at the indentation on the silk screen on the IC holder and on the IC. They all line up, and that's that. And then we have two TL072. One goes here on the front one, facing downwards, as I said before, IC holder and silk screen indentation there. And we have on the TL072, there's a small embossed circle. That's the pin number 1, so that should be towards the edge of the indentation. we go. That's much better. And then U1 does not have a, I forgot to write what IC it is, but it is a TL072. The embossed circle towards the indentation, and there. We can now put this in place in the correct orientation, like so. Make sure that you haven't moved the LEDs around, so you break or bend them when you get in. Press them in. You can see that they are all as they should. I'm sorry for moving the camera all the time. Put this back on like so. Add the nuts. There. Let's do a continuity test. That is the minimum test you should do. You put a multimeter in diode mode, so it should give a signal or show a signal when you do like that. And then we make sure that none of the power are short-circuited. They are, because they are all ground. Yeah, so that's fine. If you haven't already, you need to now go and put the firmware on the Arduino. You just download it from my GitHub. Open the Arduino ADSR file in the Arduino ADSR catalog and just upload it. And all the other files should just magically be added as well. And then we put this in and we go and try it out in the rack. Software wise, to get this to work, you need to go to my GitHub. You need to find in the repositories. If it's not here, you need to find the Arduino ADSR. There are two folders here, Arduino ADSR priming and Arduino ADSR. So before anything, we need to prime the EEPROM of this thing. So basically what you can do, I think you can do download zip, and you will get this whole thing so you get both the Arduino ADSR and the priming. And as you can see, it contains a lot of files. This is totally fine. The folder is called Arduino ADSR, and there is an Arduino ADSR.ino in this folder, and that means that if we go in here and we open that file open, and we choose in the Arduino ADSR, we choose Arduino ADSR, we get this file with lots of how do you call it, tabs. So all the files are in here, and this is just for me one way to make it easier to work with this large code base. So what you first do is you load the Arduino ADSR and just run this, upload it. It will run once. If you took the serial monitor, it will just say done. So you just upload it, and when it's done, you can close it again, and then you upload the Arduino ADSR, and then it's done, and we can go in the rack and it's ready for use. So once it is in the rack, as it is here, it won't light up. The Arduino on the back should light up as in any of these modules, as this one, of course, but other than that, it shouldn't light up. It is, by default, it is set to act as trig, so just a press will start the envelope, and the same on channel 2. And from there on, then we know it works, and now you need to check out the video on all the functions, or just start using it. It's an ADSR. You switch channel with button number 1, channel 2, channel 1. Channel 1 is green, channel 2 is red. Act, that's how it's acting. Now we're in loop mode, we're in end loop mode, gate, back to trig. So in gate, this is where just press it and it will. We're back in, wait, there, now we're in gate mode. And when we do this, when we hold the sustain, we can play with the sustain and release. So that's the normal function of the ADSR. And load and save once you have a nice set that you want to, or it is how you want it to be. For the next time you restart the rack, press save, it blinks red, and next time it will be that. Or if you change something and want to go back, just press load and you're there. Quick walkthrough of just simple functions. Now, go watch that video or make some music with this. Take care. Bye.